The views and opinions expressed by the host on this program are documented to be almost always right 99.8% of the time. That's pretty phenomenal. There's nobody even close to that. Happy to have you here. Telephone number, if you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882. Email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. So some veterans groups are popping up now claiming that Trump is using them as props in the campaign. I mean, anything could be true, but I think what's going on here, is it not that the VA is in dilapidated condition after almost 8 years of the Obama regime? It has become known to be so bad that in itself has become a campaign issue, is the treatment of American vets, and particularly during the time of a Democrat administration when it's widely understood that many Democrats look at the U.S. military as a problem rather than a solution in the world. So Mrs. Clinton's out there after reading the Washington Post story on how Trump is lying about how much money he's raised for the vets. Yeah, the Washington Post, big tell-all, big expose. Trump said he had donated $6 million, and the Washington Post said, no, he's lying. It's only $5.6 million. And so Hillary and her campaign staff hired some vets to go do a faux protest against Trump outside Trump Tower in Manhattan over the weekend. It was a total astroturf operation. So after Trump's presser today, Hillary's in some bunker where she's holed up in California because she's had to go out there because she's getting so much pressure from crazy Bernie. So apparently she made a conference call on how wacko Trump is with the military today and so forth. So now the next story in the sequence of events is that right on schedule, some veterans groups are popping up. We think Donald Trump is using us as props. We think Donald Trump is using us as props. We don't think Trump really cares about vets. We don't Trump is really genuine about vets. We think Trump is using us for props. So that'll all have to be sorted out and waited. Meanwhile, if you focus on the Clinton campaign, you find a whole big bunch of panic and nothing from a very, very concerned AFP. That's a French news agency. Clinton campaign faces a deficit of a vital commodity, enthusiasm. His rallies are like raucous circuses, interrupted by the clamor of a captivated crowd that's quick to finish his sentences. Hers seem more like sober presidential addresses, exhaustive litanies of proposals presented to well-behaved supporters with an occasional cackle thrown in. Making matters worse, Hillary Clinton tends to arrive late, while Donald Trump always begins on time. But even in this story, where they're worried that Hillary has no enthusiasm, and she doesn't, Hillary Clinton doesn't have a connected audience. I think this is a crucial thing to understand, and I've mentioned this I don't know how many times. I still don't think that your average, ordinary, run-of-the-mill political press or even political scientists, think tankers, whatever I don't think they get it. I don't think they when I specifically mention audience connection, it's since so few of them are performers, I don't think they know what I mean. They look at politics as you have voters, you have supporters. And on that rare occasion, you have out-of-control fandom like Ross Perot had. And whenever that happens, those people are always going to be called kooks. They're always going to be called followers, oddballs, wackos, tinfoil hat wearers, what have you. But real politicians have supporters. Real politicians have voters. They don't have acolytes. They don't have teeming, slaving, slobbering groupies following them around. Mrs. Clinton does not have an audience. Mrs. Clinton is where she is because the Democrat Party has ordained it. Well, she has demanded it. And they have acquiesced because there is this understanding that she deserves to be paid back for all she has done for the party by continually standing by her husband when he's gotten in deep doo-doo. It was supposed to be 2008. Then Barack Hussein came along and they swept her aside for a younger, more attractive black guy. And now she's being swept aside by an older, doddering, curmudgeon-like seasoned citizen in Crazy Bernie. But she has no audience connection. Hillary Clinton will announce an appearance, and they have to work to get people to show up. They have to work to get volunteers. They have to work to get people to show up as supporters. Hillary Clinton cannot announce she's going to be at the Cow Palace somewhere and have it automatically fill up because there are people that want to see her. They have to work at filling whatever venue she decides to show up at. Her book, nobody showed up at signings. It was a bomb in terms of sales. She has no connection with people. People don't have anything personal. There's no linkage. She's the Democrat nominee. There's a big capital D next to her name, and that's it. Now, in presidential politics, that can often be enough. Get you where you need to go in the Electoral College. But up against Trump, it's always going to come off as looking listless and dead by comparison. So here you have even the French news agency acknowledge it. Clinton campaign faces a deficit of a vital commodity, enthusiasm. And even in this story, they characterize her speeches as presidential and Trump as a circus. And it takes me here to the New York Times. Once again, Hillary Clinton struggles to find footing in unusual race. This is by essentially Jonathan Martin, old buddy from his Politico days. Democrats could hardly believe their good fortune last month when it became clear that Hillary was headed to a general election showdown with Trump. Trump carried so much baggage and had insulted so many voting blocs that some Clinton supporters began to imagine a landslide. But early optimism that this would be an easy race is evaporating in the corridors of Congress, on airplane shuttles between New York and Washington, at donor gatherings and on conference calls. Anxiety is spreading through the Democrat Party that Mrs. Clinton is struggling to find her footing. How can that be? She's the smartest woman in the world. She's the most qualified person to ever run for the presidency. She's known and adored by Americans for over 25 or 30 years. How can it be that she's struggling to find her footing? I guess the New York Times and the rest of the drive-bys think that they just constantly claim that Trump has, quote, insulted so many voting blocs that it'll just become fact. In reality, Trump hasn't insulted any voting blocs. He has noted that illegal alien Mexicans in our country have brought drugs across the border and committed other crimes, including murder and rape. But are illegal alien Mexicans a voting bloc? Well, they are to the Democrat Party. Are murderers and rapists a voting bloc? They are to the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party wants felons to be able to vote. So the Times is wringing its hands. Hillary's in trouble. And then this other story, it's just unfair. Trump's got so much of an advantage over her that we need a fairness doctrine in the media to be able to balance our coverage of Trump and Hillary.